Trades are hard? What are we talking about? The Vegas Golden Knights acquired Tomas freaking Hertl from the San Jose Sharks with retention from the San Jose Sharks for the next 6 years. They're already retaining on Erik Karlsson until 2027, which straps them for making really any of these types of trades in the next 3-4 years. It's official, they just announced it on Twitter. And that's not even the tip of the frosting with this one, because we acquired Tomas Hertl at 17% retained, which means we have him locked up for the next 6 years at like $6.8 million. And San Jose sent us 2 third-round picks for us to give up 2 firsts. One being the last year, the Edstrom that we drafted, who looks like a decent-ish prospect. He was one of our best prospects, so I mean, you hope that Edstrom is able to come out to be like who Tomas Hertl is. Tomas Hertl was injured back in January. He underwent a minor knee surgery, which he was projected to still come back in the regular season, but because we're the Vegas Golden Knights and we're going to purposely keep him out into the playoffs despite the fact that we're in a second wildcard team, yeah, totally. Eichel, Hertl, Karlsson, Stevenson, Waugh. What is this center depth? Obviously, that's for this season, because I believe that cements Chandler Stevenson, Alec Martinez's fates for next year. But looking at it, we have about 14 million-ish in cap space looking into next year for us to re-sign Hanifin, Marchessault. We're re-signing Marchessault, right?
Right?
Yeah.
You hesitated there for a second. What?
That was probably the most sobering moment of all of this, was thinking, the entire hockey Twitter, X, whatever, is blowing up on Vegas for doing this deal, despite the fact that it was San Jose who said yes to this. They actually sent Tomas Hertl and draft picks to Vegas Golden Knights for 2 draft picks. That is insane. And we got 17% retention. Thank you so much, San Jose Sharks. If we have another cup, you're on board with us repeating now, so Hertl can get a cup, right? If we make the playoffs at all, which, I mean, we're gonna, right? We're gonna. Not on anyone's radar. Hertl, really, exactly. Gensel went to Carolina, so we were out on him. I was thinking when it was announced that Vegas was still looking at a multi-year guy and getting him, I was thinking Buchnevich from the Blues, because everyone was, because he was the one that was talked about the most. Tomas Hertl was nowhere near anyone's list. This is out of right field, and it is a really good deal for the Vegas Golden Knights. This means we still have our first round pick this coming up draft in 2024 at the Sphere, so yay, Vegas, let's go. We don't have our first for the next 2 years. This next year, the 2025, will be at San Jose, and the 26 will be at Calgary. Hanifin's extension, still don't know what that's looking like. It's reported around 7. Marchessault's looking at getting a raise, which 7 would wipe us out of any cap space. We could still technically do all of that. That's next year's problem. Let's focus on that later. Please just re-sign Marchessault, please. Out of pure spite that I genuinely feel is warranted at this point, I hope Mark Stone comes back game 2 of the round 1 playoffs, just to rub everyone's noses in the absolute insanity that is the Vegas Golden Knights and the pure, unadulterated goodness that this franchise is and can bring to the league. Because yes, the hockey as a sport, greatest sport before Vegas had ever had a professional team. However, what the Vegas Golden Knights are able to consistently do year after year, which is not abuse the LTIR, because let's face it, that's a legal thing that they're able to do, and it's not like Mark Stone isn't actually hurt, didn't actually have surgery, didn't actually lacerate his spleen. All of those things happen. He's injury prone, and you know, it is what it is. They've shown that you can make these trades. Any other GM could make this trade. There are tons of GMs doing LTIR the way that Vegas is, with players that are no longer gonna play, on both going over and getting to the cap floor, which is, I would argue, worse than going over. Because if you're going over, you're trying to win, right? But what like the Coyotes are doing and the Blackhawks are doing, they are literally tanking, not icing a roster that meets the cap floor. And so if we want to fix this, we got to fix it on both ends, guys. This is a little bit of a longer one because this was a blockbuster deal, especially because it came in at the wire at the trade deadline, which, you know, things that come in at the wire at the trade deadline with the Vegas Golden Knights are usually headlining stuff, remember Dodonov. But also, we acquired Mantha, Hanifin, and Tomas Hertl and 2 third-round picks in exchange for 3 first-round picks if you count Edstrom, who was drafted last year. Vegas's third-round pick next year, which becomes a second if we win a round, which, okay, cool. A second this year for Mantha, a 4th in 2 years. Like, it's not a lot that Vegas gave up. Miramanov, yes. My point is, this is probably the most insane deadline that Vegas has ever had. And they did what most of hockey universe didn't think that they could, and they acquired Hanifin and Hertl. Both were out of nowhere. I predicted Mantha, so it can't be out of nowhere, right? And yes, we are in a huge slump right now, and there is a legitimate possibility that we miss the playoffs, because building chemistry with this team with 3 huge new additions, one of which is not even going to come for a little bit because he's still injured, is not guaranteed, right? It's going to be something that we have to fix the ship and make sure that these players are playing to their full potential by actually being intentional with the puck. And I think Vegas can do it. And even if without home ice, before all of this was happening, I thought Vegas was fine. So now we're legitimately looking at not having home ice the entire playoffs. And I think Vegas is just going to be fine. Even if Mark Stone doesn't come back in the playoffs for at least a couple of rounds, who knows? Seriously, thank you, San Jose. I feel a little bit bad for fans of the San Jose Sharks because this is really, really dark times for them. They just full on ripped off the Band-Aid and are going full tank. Greer, I don't know how you didn't get. I originally thought it was 2/3 going to San Jose in addition to Edstrom at first for just Hertl. And I was like, yeah, that's a fair trade. And then it turned out the 2/3 were coming to us, which Vegas has done well with their 3rd-round picks. We've picked Dorofeev in the 3rd round. We've picked Rombjerg, Cormier, who's one of our best defensive prospects right now. I don't know who a lot of these other guys are, but hey, Vegas has done pretty well with the 3rd round, which, you know, cool. Especially when a 4th-round pick can get you Aiden Hill. What a trade deadline. What a deadline. When we all thought that this one was gonna be very, very low and just under the table and the best asset with Lindholm has already gone. Cool. It is so much fun to be a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights, who are going for it every single year, who don't, and yes, when a rebuild comes, I'm still gonna be here for this team, and I don't know how the rest of the fan base will act either. But if you have a problem with the way that Vegas operates, then you don't like seeing when teams try to win every year. Everything that Vegas has done, 100% legal. The NHL could have nixed the deal if it wasn't. They would have. They did it with the Dodonov trade a couple of years ago, and obviously not illegal. And they check up on the LTIR stuff. They hate that stuff. They would rather not have to deal with all of this. So if, you know, for some reason something comes up, we'll find out, but I highly doubt it, because everything that Vegas has done is within the means that the NHL has voted on and kept as part of the league rules. And every GM could have made this move. Any other GM in the league could have traded a 1st-round pick, a 1st-round draft prospect that would have been higher than 32nd overall this last season, let's be honest, for Hertl at 17% retained and getting 2 third-round picks in return. Any GM could have done that, probably would have had they known it was on the table, but none had the stones to do, I did that on purpose, to do what McCrimmon did. So hats off to Kelly McCrimmon, GM of the decade at this point. It is so much fun to be a fan of the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm just embracing that we're the dark side of the NHL now. Mantha, Hanifin, and Tomas Hertl. Columbus game. Traded for Mantha. Traded for Hanifin. Vancouver game. Traded for Hertl. This is fantastic. Anyway, that's going to be it for the trade deadline's nightly review. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.